Vayishlach. So we'll wait one more second, and then we will say the blessing.
Boker Tov, good morning.
Boker Tov. Okay. Michaela, if you can share. All right, the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Okay, so welcome everybody. Parashat Vayishlach today, which is absolutely fascinating. So much to talk about. So we'll run through it. I'll give a little bit of a background, a little bit of a summary, and then we'll read some texts, and then we'll discuss the text and hopefully end up in some interesting places. I ask that if you do want to speak, once we open it up for questions, please raise your hand electronically or physically so we can see you, and then we'll go around the room physically and virtually. Okay, so Parashat Vayishlach, which means and he sent. Okay, so here's the background. Here is the cast of characters. Jacob had fled to be with his uncle Lavan, where he spent 22 years. And God tells Jacob to return to Canaan. God tells Jacob that he will deliver him to that land and take care of him there once he arrives in Canaan. Jacob then sends messengers to his brother Esau with a message to Esau that he seeks favor in his eyes. We'll see there was a historically very contentious relationship between them. So he sends messengers and he seeks favor in his eyes. The messengers return with a message and a report. They say, Esau has assembled 400 men. He's waiting for you. And it doesn't really say what the 400 men are, but 400 men waiting for you is not a good sign. It symbolizes a fight. Jacob fears that his brother Esau, he fears him because Jacob has in the past, and this is some of the background, he had deceived their father Abraham into giving Jacob the special blessing that's reserved for the firstborn that was meant for Esau. The firstborn, Esau, also sold his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of stew after returning famished from a hunt. Okay, so right now Jacob arranges this massive amount of gifts, herds and animals for his brother from his herds. And then he does something very planned. He meticulously instructs the servants that are going to take these gifts to stage the cattle, to stage the gifts and space in between them, to stage the arrival so that to emphasize the quantity. So it looks like he's sending a lot, which he is. Jacob goes to great lengths to have an effect on his brother. He wants to influence him. And so while the servants are bringing these gifts to Jacob, Jacob is left alone and he sees a man. And he wrestles with the man until the break of dawn. The figure wrestling Jacob sees that he cannot prevail, and as dawn is coming, this figure asks to be released. Jacob refuses to let the wrestler go unless he gets a blessing. And the wrestler says, "What's your name?" And when Jacob says his name, the response is, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, it shall be Yisrael, because you wrestled with God and with man, and you have prevailed." Yisrael, the word, is a combination of Yisra, to fight, to struggle, and El, which means God. But interestingly, another way to break down the word Yisrael, that's what the root means, to wrestle with God. Another way to break it down, if you take that word, it's a combination of Yashar and El, being straight, being honest, Yashar and El, which is a really interesting play on those letters, and we'll talk about that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I just want to emphasize a few important words that we need to be aware of as we go through this. Okay, I'll come back to
it. No, I was waiting to.
Okay. So the first word here, I'm just going to highlight this. Okay, let me see if I can get my cursor here. Bear with me. Okay. All right. The first word is, and you hopefully can see this on the screen, is Yareh. The word that is used in this text for fear in this parasha is Yareh. Yareh is a fascinating word because it's really on a spectrum. Yareh means to fear, but it also means awe. It means awe, it means fear, and depending on how and when it's used, it can be on that spectrum between somewhere between fear and awe. But the root of the word is the most important thing. It actually means to see. You cannot fear something, you cannot be in awe of something unless you actually see it. You have to see it and comprehend it and understand. So the word used in the text is yareh for fear. The word Yaakov is a fascinating word. It means to follow. Jacob held on to the heel of his brother Esau as he was being born. But it also means, Akav also means complicated, roundabout, somewhat dishonest negatively. In other words, the name has come to symbolize the character of Yaakov. So it's not just holding on to the ankle, not just following. It's complicated and somewhat negatively dishonest. So that's Yaakov. Esav also is a very interesting name. Esav from the root asui. When something is asui, it is fully made. It is from the word oseh. Oseh shalom, makes peace. So Esav was born fully baked, so to speak. He had hair on his arms. So he was asui. Esav also takes the name of his characteristic because he was complete. It was reference to the fact that he was born with grown hair, with hair on his arms. And the last word that's really important to remember as we go through this text is the word ish. Ish means man. Okay. So now we're going to read the text, and I'm sorry if you're seeing these, I'm not sure what these signs are here. So I'm going to read the text in English. This is Genesis 32. Jacob sent messengers ahead to his brother Esav in the land of Seir, the country of Edom, and instructed them, that's his messengers, as follows. Thus shall you say to my lord Esav, thus says your servant Jacob. So he's very subservient in his language. I stayed with Laban and remained until now. I have acquired cattle, asses, sheep, and male and female slaves. And I send this message to my lord in the hope of gaining your favor. The messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came to your brother Esau. He himself is coming to meet you, and his retinue numbers 400. Jacob was greatly frightened. In his anxiety, he divided the people with and the flocks and herds and camels into two camps. So I want to focus here on the word frightened. And here again, you have that word vayira, vayira. And I think it's important to think about that word, because I'll ask in a minute is like, what I'm going to be interested in hearing, what is the nature of the fear of vayira, understanding that yira is to see has a spectrum. Okay, so that's the first reading there. We'll go on and read a little bit more. Then Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham's house and God of my father Isaac's house, O Adonai, who said to me, return to your native land and I will deal bountifully with you. So Jacob is lamenting the fact he was told to come back. He was given assurances that he would come back to the land and God would take care of him. So now in his fear and his frustration, he's raising that again. And he says, I am unworthy of all the kindness that you have so steadfastly shown your servant. With my staff alone, I crossed this Jordan, and now I have become two camps. So he feels I'm coming back. I have all this cattle. I have all this wealth, but I crossed the Jordan alone with my stick. You told me that I would come back to Canaan and everything would be good. It's not looking so good for me. He's terrified. He says, deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau. Else I fear he may come and strike me down, mothers and children alike. And what's beautiful in the Hebrew is verse 11 is katonti. The word katan means small. He says, I am small. The English is I'm worthy, but he says, I feel small. Katonti mikol hachasadim. I feel unworthy. I feel small from all of the good deeds that you have bestowed on me. Unikol ha'emet, and from the truth. And the word emet is very important here because he's coming to realize that there's some truth behind everything that's going on. Unikol ha'emet. Okay, so given the background, the tension between the brothers historically, the birthright that was taken away, the blessing that was stolen from the father, I want to kind of ask the group, and if you could raise your hand, if you have any thoughts, what I'm interested in, and first of all, please keep your responses, your thoughts short, and raise your hand. So my question is, what is Jacob afraid of? What is the nature of the fear? If you think of like the human psychology, what is the nature of the fear? What is going through his mind here? And let me just, I need to open this up here so I can see everybody. Okay. Anybody? Okay, go ahead. And yeah, if you could grab the script.
It's amazing how our forefathers are just regular guys. They have a close encounter with God, yet they're human in every respect. It's really remarkable.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other thoughts? What is he afraid? And I just see randomly Brenda on the screen. Go ahead.
Well, I would imagine that he feeling guilty for what he did for Esau, and imagine that that Esau is going to be completely angry at him, but it's his own guilt that's really gnawing at him.
I love that, Brenda. Absolutely. I love that. Okay, Beth.
Shalom. My thought is that he has dealt very badly with his brother. He's cheated his brother, and now he thinks that his brother is going to be bad too.
Bad too, or
There's
bad?
sort of inevitability to that they're both going to act the same way. And
right. In other words, your point is it's contagious. As soon as you lower the standard is lower, and what you do to others, they will do to you. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I'll take one more on the screen and then we'll go to the room. Jill.
Okay, hi, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Yeah, I just think the part, I'm so glad that you talked about the translation about feeling small. And it's both kind of a feeling of reverence and humility that is so captured by that, by that translation. And, there are times when I feel the closest to God, I feel very, very small, but it's like a great feeling also, so anyway, I just thank you for emphasizing the difference in the translation and in the Hebrew.
Thank you, Jill. Okay, here in the room. Yes, go ahead.
I also think that in addition to everything he's feeling, he's also very insecure about his faith with God. He's not really sure about God. He said, God, if you do this for me, do everything, I'll give you 10%, so he's trying to, and a lot of people think, but I think he's fearful. He doesn't really know. This could even be a setup. I mean, he's not sure of his faith at all.
Not sure of his faith, a lot of insecurity. Okay, go ahead. Funny.
I'm reminded of two Bible passages. One is Moses saying, I set before you life and death, choose life. I think all of us, including our forefather Jacob, are terrified of life and terrified of death.
Terrified of life and terrified of death.
And Saul, who became Paul on the road to Damascus, Christian addition to our Bible. When he looks back on his main encounter with God, on that road, he says it's a terrifying thing to fall into the hands of God.
Okay, so he's terrified about what God will do to him. Okay.
Oh, no.
No?
It's way beyond that.
Okay.
it's like the salt doll walking into the ocean and disappear. He's terrified
Yeah.
of disappearing.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna move on here. Let me see how I get my page back. Okay, move on to and talk about and look at some text. So Rashi says, katonti, I am small. Katonti mikol hachasadim. I am too unworthy of all the mercies. This may be rendered, I am small, unworthy, because of all the kindness. My merits are diminished in the consequence of all the kindness and truth which you have already shown. For this reason, I am afraid. Perhaps since you made these promises to me, I have become depraved. And yet Rashi used the word nitkalkalti. The word is lehitkalkel. Kalkel is, I'm ruined. Because of all this abundance of goodness that you have given to me and you have promised me, it has corrupted me. The word mekulkal in Hebrew actually means broken. It's a beautiful word. He says, I feel broken. Mitkalkalti, I have become depraved by sin. Another version that Rashi uses is nitlachlakti. Does anybody know what litluch is? Litluch means dirt. So he says, I feel dirty. I have become dirty. I have become defiled by sin. And this may cause me to be delivered into Esav's power. In other words, he's going to Esav with a feeling of fear of like physical revenge, but he also feels guilt. He feels dirty. He feels that this is going to undermine his relationship with Esav. Okay, so that's Rashi. And then the Rashbam says, Hachasadim, the acts of good, the good deeds, the loving kindness, as expressed by promises. And then, seeing that you have performed for me both hasadim, acts of kindness, and emet, and truth, focusing on the truth, although I have not yet redeemed my vow to establish an altar at Beit El and to sacrifice to you there. So he feels that he has not performed his end of the bargain. I am now afraid, in spite of the assurances you have given me. I am aware that you do not judge man according to his good intentions, but according to his carrying out his intention. And I have been remiss in this respect. We find in connection with Hizkiyahu, king of Yehuda, in Kings 121, that when the prophet had told him, you will die and not live, the king prayed to God and was granted an additional 15 years of life. In other words, the king was given, in that other case, an extension as his prayer had enumerated his merits. In other words, what's happening here is Jacob says, I have not performed, I have not delivered. And in his mind, if he doesn't deliver, he is in trouble. So he's praying because he hasn't acted. So that's Rashbam. Okay, so fear. The one thing I also want to say here is if you go back to that word yareh, and you think that it's not just fear, it's awe, and you say he is in awe of Esav, that's a much more complicated type of fear. You're in awe. What does that do? Like, fighting with somebody that you are really in awe of. Okay, go ahead.
Susan, good Shabbos. And it was really cool to walk in with you talking about the word yareh, because it's a word I've been like sort of focused on lately. And I just wanted to add, oh, sorry, thank you. I just wanted to talk about the word yareh and add a definition, which I think for me helps me understand it in this context and in lots of contexts, because it's all through the Torah, which is understanding or knowing, like a knowing, like I see you. When somebody sees you, they get you, they understand you. And I feel like that's involved every time we see this word.
Absolutely. And as I said, I don't know if you heard this when you walked in, but yareh, the root is ro'eh, is to see.
Right.
The root is to see. So you cannot be, it's understanding, because it's like You know, if you don't know that something is hot, you don't see it, you don't understand, you're not afraid of it. As soon as you understand that you're gonna get burnt, that's where you.
Right, and just sort of to add that, yeah, yes, I was talking about the sea, because like I think about our not being able to see God, you know, God turns their back. As someone who's had vision issues, I've really thought about this word a lot, because I'm like, can the Torah be ableist? Is that what's going on? And I've come to think like seeing doesn't actually just mean visual. People who don't have sight have other ways of seeing.
Yes, very nice. Okay, let's get quickly and then we'll move on.
Very
Yes.
quickly. I guess when I think of awe as opposed to seeing as an understanding, awe has this incommensurability about it. It actually exceeds your ability to fully grok it, to fully get it, to fully see it. There is something transcendent. And that is what is awe-inspiring, like Mont Blanc or God.
Your
You
point is,
can't,
you don't understand. You
you
don't see.
completely,
Right. That's
not
beautiful.
completely, and there's the fear in that.
Exactly. That's very beautiful. In other words, it's the not seeing everything,
Fully.
not seeing fully that creates the awe. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna move on now to the next verse, the next verse that I want to talk about. And Richard, we'll come back to you in a bit. I see your hand. We'll come back. We're gonna keep going now. So I'm gonna read verses 25 to 31. Okay, Jacob was left alone, and a figure wrestled with him. Now, what's so interesting, if you look at the Hebrew, Vayivater Yaakov levado, Jacob was left alone. The English concludes a figure. Fine, it's a figure. But if you look at the Hebrew, it says Vayeavek ish imo. In other words, the Hebrew is very clear that the figure that he wrestled with, it doesn't say angel, it doesn't say figure, it says ish. He wrestled a man. And to me, that's extremely telling. When he saw, when he saw, sorry, he wrestled with him until the break of dawn. When he saw that he had not prevailed against him, he wrenched Jacob's hip at its socket, so that the socket of his hip was strained as he wrestled with him.
We know which.
Let's keep going. We'll come back to you. Then he said, "Let me go." So this man said, "Let me go, for dawn is breaking." But he answered, Jacob answered, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." So here's a situation where Jacob has been blessed already. He stole the blessing from his father, from his brother, through his father Abraham. God has told him, "Go to the land, I'm blessing you." And here it's a symbol of his insecurity. He says, "Bless me." He wants another blessing. It's like the third blessing at least, and he's very insecure. So he says, I won't let you go unless you bless me. Said the other, "What is your name?" He replied, "Jacob." Said he, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with beings divine and human and have prevailed." Jacob asked, "Pray tell me your name." But he said, "You must not ask my name." And he took leave of him there. So Jacob named the place Peniel, meaning I have seen a divine being face to face, yet my life has been preserved. So what's so interesting here is in the Hebrew says Vayikra Yaakov et Shem HaMakom Peniel. Called the place Peniel. Peniel is a beautiful combination of Penei, if you know Yiddish, panim. Panei is face, El. So he called the place, El is God. So he called the place Peniel because he saw, and again, focusing on seeing, on the vision, he saw this angel or human man face to face. And he says, I have seen a divine being face to face. Again, it's about seeing. He had this revelation, seeing him face to face. Okay, so what I'd like to do is here, again, ask. I'm sorry. Just give me 1 minute, okay? I'll come back to you. Okay, so a few questions. This raises a few questions. and I'll just put this out there and because there's so much to talk about. Who is Jacob wrestling? Who is, and just hold your questions, who is he wrestling? Who is the man? Who is Jacob wrestling? Who is the man? And when he prevailed over the man, what is his victory? What is he actually won? Okay. Another question that comes up is, why is he seeking yet another blessing? He already got one from Abraham. God has already given him assurances. Okay, that's another question. What does the name change symbolize? So his name is now changed from Yaakov, from Jacob, to Israel. What does that symbolize? And the last question, or almost the last question, is what occurred upon him seeing God face to face? Something happened. What is it that has happened? Okay, so let me stop there and open it up. Starting with you, if you wanted to say something or had a question.
Or something, a query. I
Okay.
guess, about the word blessing, gives him a blessing, because I hear this. And I'm like, what does that mean? To get a blessing in this story and in general, does that mean, it could mean so many things? Are you getting redemption? Are you suddenly able to see an angel now? Does the veil open? Are you getting good luck? Is somebody wishing you well? Like, what does it mean when Jacob is getting a blessing, and what does it mean when we say, oh, I give you my blessing? Like, what are we really saying?
Okay, do you have any thoughts on that? On what is your view?
I personally, when I say that to someone, I'm like, okay, I'm wishing you well because my heart wants you to be well, but I don't know that that affects that other person necessarily.
Okay.
I do feel that, yeah, I have no idea.
Okay, let's see if we get an answer. Any thoughts? Anybody else want to say anything? Let me go to the screen here and see if any thoughts. So I guess the question is, does anybody have any views on who is Jacob actually wrestling? Who is he wrestling, and what is the nature of his wrestling?
May I answer the question?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Yeah, who is that? If you could just.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
my name is Jerry. Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
It was my understanding, reading the partial of the verse that Yaakov was always wrestling Hashem. That's what I always took it to mean.
Okay.
Can we see this thing?
No, I give me a
Okay,
second.
can y'all see me now? I put my camera on.
No, we're too busy looking at.
No, I can't, I'm not able to see you. Okay. Okay, let me see. I want to see who has raised their hands here. Sorry.
And you
Okay. You still can't see me, right? I'm sorry about that.
Okay, that's okay. Or I think we can see you now. I think we can see you. Okay,
Okay.
hold on. Now we can see you. Okay.
All right.
Any other questions? Any other answers? Like who is the man that is being wrestled? Okay, go ahead here.
Well, I don't know. I mean, blessing in Torah seems to be a fateful thing. Seems to be given to somebody from somebody who affects who your father or somebody of some kind of power. And it seems to be that they believe in Torah that that's your fate. That's what you will inherit. That's what, and that's certainly been Jacob and Esau's experience.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
blessed.
Okay, Tony?
For one thing, Tales of the Hasidim by Buber gives 53 answers to what is a blessing, some of which refer to the Hindu idea of Shaktipat, where the guru channels the light from beyond into the light and fire, like the light and fire of the Baal Shem Tov is still illuminating the world, in my opinion. In other words, there's a transmission of spiritual energies. That's one thing. Last but not least, there's that beautiful song. Just a beautiful song. It's a wonderful world, where the line is, they're saying this and they're saying that, but they're really only saying, I love you.
Okay, so back to the question is, let me put it a different way. Not who is Jacob wrestling, what is he wrestling? What is his struggle here? Okay, I see, and sorry, I'm having trouble seeing, Beth, is your hand up again?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
One thing that hit me, since this wrestling is taking place, I guess, in the dark, and he's wrestling with an Ish. I wonder if he's wrestling with his shadow self, which normally we cannot see. You know, the shadow self is always back here somewhere where we can't really get a glimpse of it. And that's my speculation. Liberty.
Absolutely. In other words, your point is he is wrestling with himself.
Right.
Okay, I think that's beautiful. Okay, I see that, sorry, I'm having trouble seeing the hands here. Give me 1 second. Okay, Neil. Neil and then Amy. Neil and then Amy. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Neil.
I think Asher Chaim sent out the Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory commentary, and he's focusing to some extent on the possibility that there could be wrestling, and I'm sort of extending this, wrestling with his own fear that he might himself hurt his brother or be forced in a defensive mode to even kill Esau. So there's this moral, internal potential wrestling with that, and I'll just add to Beth, with that potential shadow side. DeBarty.
Shamati, very, very nice. Okay. Amy.
Yes, the Midrash says, or many of the commentaries I've read say that he wrestled with Esau's angel. And the concept of channeling, a blessing is as I've asked a lot of people and done a lot of research over a week, and it seems the consensus is it's a mechanism of channeling from God and the world down to us.
Yes, very nice, very nice. Thank you. Okay. Yes, I'm sorry, in the room. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I think that this is a setup for Bnei Yisrael for the millennia to come, because we are Bnei Yisrael. We are the children of the one who struggled, and hence we always struggle. And not only do we struggle, but I think in Hashem's lives, we need to struggle to be worthy of Hashem's blessings. And then to not be just complacent and pass it. But if you have to struggle for something, it's just like the 10 plagues. Like Pharaoh could have let the people go after plague 1, but it was 10. It's like it was a struggle. And same here, this is a setup for the millennium of
The
Jews
nation, the people of
to
Israel.
come, that there is merit to struggle, that you just don't have things given to you, that you need to earn it through some type of struggle.
It gives
Right,
meaning.
and
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Can you pass
Go
on
ahead.
this? Yeah, I think the word ish is an interesting word, and I'm super into going into the Hebrew. And ish is a word that's formed from ish, which is fire. And I think looking at Hebrew words and taking out the infix or taking out the middle letter is always like really powerful. And I was just looking this up, like that the word ish for person is fire plus the yud is the divine spark. So that there's some way that, and also, more sort of directly, person, other person. So he is fighting with himself, he's fighting with people, other people, but there's some kind of fire that he's fighting with. And some kind of divinity, the divine spark.
Okay,
And just one other thing of just the fact that we are created in the image of God. So he's fighting God in some way because
okay, thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
Sharon, did you want to say?
Question, I don't know if you're gonna talk about what the significance of the wound and why specifically the hip? Is there
Okay.
something in the word for hip, which I don't know?
Okay, there is, and I will not talk about that. That's something that we should do separately. I actually, that's something that I particularly avoided. That's not my favorite part. Well, I think, that, yeah, we can take that offline.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. All right, am I missing anybody online? I see Brenda. Is your hand still up, Brenda, or have you spoken?
Yes, I'll try to be brief. So very similar to what Beth said about his wrestling with the shadow self. So it's like, it's definitely to me a dream because he says, the angel or whoever he is says, let me go because the dawn is breaking. So, and dreams have a very important part in the liturgy. You know, we later go on to Joseph's dreams, so they represent a prophecy also. So he's dreaming, he's wrestling with his unconscious, I believe, but in his mind, it's a divine message that he's getting, and he
Exactly.
needs another blessing because of all his bad deeds and his conscience and his fears. So yeah, it's a dream, and it's kind of, he sees it as a prophecy.
Exactly, and I like that a lot. I had the same thought. It's a dream, and what's clear is he is actually struggling with himself. And here's what a lot of the rabbis say, okay? He is in awe. He is so awe-inspired by his brother Esav that his whole life he wanted to be Esav. He wanted to be Esav. He was jealous because the father Abraham favored Esav. He is in awe of Esav. He stole the blessing. And so now what's happening is that he's actually coming to terms with himself. He is coming to terms with the fact that the lying and the being Yaakov isn't working. Okay, it's not working internally. He feels guilt. It is just not working. And it is time for him to realize. And once he comes face to face with the angel, he realizes that that's not working, and he has to be himself. So when the angel says to him, "What's your name?" He doesn't say it's Esau, give me the birthright. He says, "You know what? I'm going to come clean. I'm Yaakov." And he has come clean, and he has come to terms with himself and his identity. And that's the name change. And I don't know if you've ever changed your name yourself or know somebody. It's a clean slate. You say, now I am this person. It is a way of identifying internally with your name, with your new persona, having others identify you at that new persona. It's a clean slate. And that's what's happening. He is coming to terms with himself. So we'll come back to you in a bit, okay? So out of ceremony and celebration, introduction to holidays, Yom Kippur, seeking forgiveness, and new insights into ancient text. Okay, so here's what that says. In the haunting passage that we just read, in which Jacob wrestles alone at night with an unnamed adversary, he finally throws off his mimetic desire to be like Esau. The stranger, mimetic desire, it's on the screen. Mimetic desire to be like Esau. He throws it off.
To copy my nieces.
Right. He wants to, he understands that he doesn't need to imitate anymore. The stranger, so he throws it off, his desire to be like Esau. The stranger who refuses to be named was identified by the sages as the guardian angel of Esau, Saroshel Esau, that was mentioned. He asks Jacob to let him go. Jacob says, "I will not let you go until you bless me." The stranger gives him a new name, Israel. A new name in this context means a new identity. Jacob will no longer be Yaakov, the child who would not let go of his brother's heel. He will be content to be himself, the man who wrestles with, or who has become great before man and God. At this point, Jacob lets go. He lets go figuratively of the heel. He lets go of the desire to be Esau, and he becomes himself. It is a turning point in his life. In other words, and if you think about this, and if that is our identity of being proud of being not just who we are, whoever we are, we should be proud of it. But not just that, it's the nation of Israel. As you said, it's be proud, let go of trying to be somebody else. And that's what happens here when Jacob encounters the Ish and God. It's really battling his identity, his aspiration to be somebody else, and really come to terms with who he really is, his own identity. Okay. Okay, yes, go ahead.
I'm in a contrary mood, apparently.
That's good.
So you can have your name changed, but your original name stays with you. And in the Torah itself, right, your next passage, looking up Jacob, not Israel, saw Esau coming. It's your origin. It's still there. So you become a kind of double being.
Right, okay, you become a double, yeah, okay. I don't disagree with
And
that.
you can aspire to have the new name and all that it represents be the part that manifests, but it's not going to be the only thing that manifests.
Right, it's layered. You cannot completely let go. Okay. Okay, anybody else? Go ahead, yeah.
The only other thing I would say along those lines, I would make the case, we always have a lot of fun, and he's wrestling with Esau's angel, and he's wrestling with himself, but I mean, I prefer actually to just take literally. He was a divine being. It's a divine being. It's an encounter that he had. I mean, how did he come up with Israel and the name and everything? To me, it's almost more fun and more interesting that it's a divine being.
Okay, yeah. There's no one way to read this. Okay, very briefly.
Very, very briefly. First of all, as the younger twin of a warrior twin brother, I can totally relate to Jake's awe of his older brother, A. B. Meister Eckhart, Buber calls the greatest Christian mystic, says, in order to get to God at his greatest, you have to get to yourself at your least.
Okay, I think that's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yafe, very nice. Okay. All right, we're going to keep reading here and see what happens. Okay. So this is now Genesis 33. Looking up, Jacob saw Esau. So now he has arrived. He has arrived at the meeting, okay? He has arrived. Jacob saw Esau coming with a retinue of 400. He divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the two maids, putting the maids and their children first, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph last. So he's preparing the encounter with Esau. He himself went on ahead and bowed low to the ground 7 times until he was near his brother. And then after all this buildup and the stress and the preparation and the fighting and being away and the anxiety for 22 years, what happens? Esau ran to greet him. He embraced him, and falling on his neck, he kissed him, and they wept. And which to me was just remarkably surprising. After all of this buildup, what happens? Esau, with his 400 men, does nothing. Maybe why were the 400 men there? But the point is, he embraces, he kisses him. Okay, okay. And so my question is, what happened? Here's the question for you. What happened between Jacob and Esau when he saw him, when they met face to face? And the key to my question is, okay, you have all this anxiety, all this buildup. You actually get in the room with the person, you see Esau, and they meet face to face. What happens? Is that not a surprise? Okay, so let me open that up. Anybody on the screen, starting with anybody out there, what, if you have any thoughts, what happened to them the moment they saw face to face. Anybody have any thoughts? Let me start with the Zoom, and if there's no, okay, I see Marilyn. Go ahead.
Oh, good. Well, I'm gonna as a matter of fact, segue um onto um what I wanted to say before, and it links to this. What fascinates me the most about this whole thing is we've been talking a lot about what's in a name, and what happens when you're not allowed to name something. Because what is so interesting to me is that Jacob asks, well, what's your name, to this mysterious creature? And he says, nope, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to know my name. And I think that that is a very important part of the process. That I think that, yes, you can name, you can change your name, you can have two names, but there's something also that you can't name. And when he meets Esau, there's something that he cannot know also,
Okay,
right? That he has this expectation of Esau maybe as his enemy, and that gets blown out of the water.
Okay, exactly. So let me move on. Thank you for that. And Razel, what happens to them when they meet face to face? That's what I'm curious to hear. Okay, all this build up, they meet face to face. What actually, what changed? Why? What's immediate embrace and hugging and kissing? Go ahead. You're on mute, Razel.
I'm trying. Hi, I just need to go back a little bit. What I think is happening here is a bookend, but it's a little bit of a different take. I'm asked to swallow the fact that Yaakov holding on to his brother's heel in the womb is a jealous act, a usurping act. I choose to think that these twins in the womb, even though they were struggling in there, the text does say they're struggling, that they loved each other. And when Esau was leaving first, he was holding on because he loved his brother. He wanted to be with his brother.
Right.
And so the deceit is not so much about jealousy of his brother, but yearning for his father's love. He had his mother's love, but he did not have his father's. So he's yearning for his father's approval. And that's why he gave him the stew and wanted to be the firstborn. And then anyway, all these, I mean, shorter, but I mean, when he comes to the reunion, it is truly a reunion because he realized trying to satisfy his parents is not what he wants to do. He wants to be his own person. But he's always loved Esau. And now that he realizes that he doesn't have to satisfy his parents' whims, he can come to him they can come as equals. And so he embraces him in the same way that he held on to his heel in the very beginning.
Okay, again, here in the room, and if you could just focus, I'm curious to see what happens when they meet face to face. What something happened? Like you go from this fear to, go ahead, if you.
What's the buildup? So Asa has been living with this anger. So he's dealt with anger for the past 20 years. And he might not know how he's going to feel when he sees his brother. That's why he has his backup. And Jacob has been dealing with guilt and shame. Maybe. Yeah, right?
Yep.
And so he's fear. Guilt, shame, fear.
Okay, but
which is why they both did maybe what they did, but maybe when they actually saw each
all right, let's focus on that. What happens when you actually get in a room with somebody? Go ahead. What happens?
When I wrote the story, Vayisha Kehu, there were 6 dots.
Oh, let's hold the 6
Okay,
dots.
sorry.
Yeah. What happens when you get in the room with somebody?
Oh, that's off. Look, the only thing that really happens, because it's the only thing that really exists, is the one love. Love happens in one from the other.
Okay.
It's with me here.
I'd love to engage with you. We have like 10 minutes left, so go ahead.
I believe it's a divine timing, that it can't just happen anytime. It happens exactly when it can happen. And we've all experienced in life, and suddenly something happens that has been absolutely impossible. And it's because it all just happens. It's a moment.
It's a moment.
Timeless.
Exactly. So, okay, we'll take one more question. Go ahead. One more answer.
I think that when Aesop, after 20 some odd years, meets up with his brother, comes to the realization that he accepts his place in life. And that he knows he could not be the leader. He could not do what Jacob would be able to do. And I think he comes with the 400 people as a mode of protection. But then when he sees his brother and he sees that his brother is not vicious towards him or shows malice towards him, he goes, you know what? I know what you did. I know you stole my birthright, but you know what? I'm happy where I am. And hence, I'm going to let you know that by not attacking you and coming together with you in love.
Okay, yeah, fair. Okay, so, okay, sorry, let's.
That's fine.
Go ahead, and then we'll move on.
I'm going to disagree and say I think you absolutely can change your name and change your entire life, especially as someone who's done that. But I think what Esau saw was Yaakov finally as himself. And I think a family seeing you become yourself and become who you desire to be, there's no way not to love that. And I think it was just brotherly love.
Okay, very nice. Okay, so here's what I think. Okay, there's an expression in Hebrew called sicha, conversation, that arba enaim. When you want to have a heart-to-heart with somebody, let's have a conversation in 4 eyes. Sicha be'arba enaim. Let's have a 4-eye conversation. And here's my point. As long as you're sitting apart for 22 years, or you're sitting behind your computer screen, or you're sending emails, you don't really see the person face to face. And when you see the person in 4 eyes, all the barriers melt away because you realize there's a person, and it causes you to really concede and come to the realization that there's another person there. They have eyes too. And in my line of work, which is negotiating, you realize that when you meet somebody face to face, you always make more progress. It's not talking on the phone. It's not sending emails. So what I want to read to you now is, sorry, I'm going to go back and share my screen here. This is the next text.
His ex-wife.
Okay, all right, let's keep going here. Okay, this is taken from, Cambridge University Press. Okay, this is an academic paper that was written for diplomats about the power of diplomats meeting face to face, the power of negotiating face to face, and it's called The Force of Face-to-Face Diplomacy. Mirror neurons. So this is actually neurons. It's what happens in the brain. Mirror neurons and the problem of intentions. Okay. Face-to-face diplomacy has long been the linchpin of international politics, but it has largely been dismissed as irrelevant in theories of cooperation and conflict as cheap talk, because leaders have incentives to dissemble. However, diplomats and leaders have argued for years that there is often no substitute for personally meeting a counterpart to hash out an agreement. Face-to-face diplomacy provides a signaling mechanism that increases the likelihood of cooperation. Face-to-face meetings allow individuals to transmit information and empathize with each other, thereby reducing uncertainty, even when they have strong incentives to distrust each other. The human brain has discrete architecture and processes devoted to parsing others' intentions via cues in face-to-face interaction. These processes enable actors to directly access the intentions of others with a higher degree of certainty than economic and game theoretic models of bargaining predict. Face-to-face interaction is a unique signaling mechanism of international politics. The mechanism is the physical simulation of intentions of others. This simulation occurs through a discrete set of neurons, aptly titled mirror neurons, whose function is to replicate what occurs in the brain of another person during social interaction. In face-to-face interaction, the brains of individuals are actively simulating what is going on in each partner's head. The ability to mirror brain activity creates what some have termed a shared circuit or brain-to-brain connection between people. In other words, have you not seen this where you've all this buildup, you get in the room and everything melts away.
Yep.
And suddenly you see eye to eye. It's about seeing eye to eye.
Very Uber, but very. Uber is one comprehensible and deceptively simple sentence behind that is all true living is meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so go ahead. Yes.
But I'm being.
You're in
contrarian.
contrarian mode. That's good. That's
I'm
good.
contrarian at heart, I think. You have to also see what the context is. You know, I was just struck in this reading at the frustration of Jacob 7 times. He's treating him like they are not equal. There is a power dynamic there. Before Esau runs up to him and kisses him and weeps and does all that, Jacob has to say, I am completely subservient to you, and you are like a god to me. That's yeah. And they're not meeting as equals.
I agree.
Or Jacob finally is, I think his Jacob side is wily enough to realize I can confront him without really just bowing to him. That's how he wants to see me.
Okay.
And then he can be beneficent towards me.
By the way,
that's
my older brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Just remember
that's fun.
physical act first.
Absolutely. Okay. Let me see. I think that Yocheved. Go ahead.
Okay, this is a little weird, but Yocheved is my former spouse, and she asked me to say the words that she wants to say.
Go ahead.
Whoa.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So
All right, let's listen.
she said about mirror neurons. She's a therapist. It's not just about face to face, it's the literal mirroring. And she gave an example, like how you learn a dance in PATS. This is a dance class that we both used to go to. That you did too. Like how you learn a dance at PATS by watching Belinda from the rear. So that mirroring there is definitely, I'm adding, sorry, Jill, you can add if you can speak up, but there is the face-to-face thing, but there's actually literally, we mirror, and I work with preschool kids, and it's the same thing. You show them what to do and they mirror it, and that's how we do a lot of
Beautiful, absolutely terrific. Okay. I'm gonna read one more text because we're getting close to the end here.
That was not
Wait, Sonia, let's keep going. Okay, so now Rashi on Genesis, here's what Rashi says. Now I want us to scroll back up. Let me scroll back up, and I want to point out something really interesting. When they actually embrace, this is verse 4. So Esav ran to greet him. He embraced him, and falling on his neck, he kissed him, and they wept. If you look at the Hebrew, Vayaratz Esav likrato vaychabkehu vayipol ad tzavoro, and the word for kissing, vayishakehu. Now, if as I'm sure you've seen the Torah, this Torah has no truk, it has no vowels, but it does have, in this case, the word vayishakehu, and he kissed him, has these 6 dots above it, and that is, and so if you look on the screen, these 6 dots, and I think you were going to say something about that. Go ahead.
When I learned the story, I hope this is.
Say it.
that Esau wanted to eat Yaakov, and he bit him.
Thank you.
When he bit him, his teeth fell out of him.
Okay. So let me take it from here. Let me take it from here. Let me take it from here. Okay. So it's pretty rare in the Torah. But when you have dots above a word, it is telling you that the words don't actually express necessarily what the word means. It's sort of like when you do a crossword puzzle and you have a question mark at the end. It's like there's a play on word. Okay. There's a play on words. So here, what the author is saying is that it's not so clear that he actually kissed him. There are rabbis that say that he actually bit him, and it's instead of saying vayishakehu, vayinashehu, which means he bit him. So that is true. In other words, the point is to take this word with a grain of salt. And in the context of what you're saying is, they made up, but maybe they didn't quite make up. And if you read, we don't have time for this, but if you read the rest of the parasha, they didn't quite make up. They didn't follow each other. They kind of went their own ways. But let me just read what Rashi says about those 6 dots here. Okay, he says, Vaishakehu, and he kissed him. Dots, and this is Rashi, dots are placed above the letters of this word, and a difference of opinion is expressed in the Baraita of Sifrei Ba'alotcha as to what these dots are intended to suggest. Some explain the dotting as meaning that he did not kiss him with his whole heart. Whereas Rav Shimon, the son of Yochai, said, is it not well known that Esau hated Jacob? But at that moment, his pity was really aroused and he kissed him with his whole heart. The point is that this relationship, he kissed him, yes. Sometimes you hug somebody and you're not really, hugging them wholeheartedly. The point is that something here, that there's more than meets the eye. And the contentious relationship didn't completely go away. It continues. But at least they sort of made up. There is some peace now. And he wasn't looking to kill him. And that happened as soon as they got together. So what I want to do is just see if there's anybody that wants to, we have to finish up here. Anybody on the screen that wants to say anything? Richard.
Yes, in 33:4, it says that Esau fell on his shoulders, but it literally means in the Hebrew falling on his neck. So I don't know if there's anything you read in that
Falling on his neck.
position.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Sorry, and I apologize if I'm not seeing the hands. Who?
It's right up there.
Amy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Amy, sorry, go ahead. It's you're not appearing on my screen. Go ahead, Amy. Sorry about that.
Okay, I just didn't get to finish my last comment, so I apologize. Now, this story is a lot like the story of David and Goliath, in that David fought Goliath so that the 2 armies didn't have to fight. When Jacob says to his brother, I look upon you like a divine face. The soldiers in Esau, this is all Midrash. The soldiers in Esau's army hear this and they figure, hey, if this guy could fight with Esau's archangel, and win, then what hope do we have? And they started deserting him. And they're gone by the time the story they part.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Brenda.
So I see it as completely sincere that, he fell on his neck and they wept and they kissed. I wouldn't question that at all. It seemed so sincere and so moving. Why would you want to take that away? But the other thing is, because Jacob, fell and he humbled himself in front of his brother. It was a sincere, maybe not so sincere, but I would see it like he had to apologize first. He had to say, I see I was wrong. And sometimes it's necessary to own up to where you were wrong in order to the connection come. And you shouldn't be afraid to say, I was wrong. Please forgive me.
Absolutely beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Any last words, any last comments here? Go ahead.
Bring up this story. I think what
Mhm.
what Isaac
Yeah,
did.
it was unforgivable.
It's awful. It was awful. The fact that it's one of our seminal stories has always confounded me.
Okay, well, one of the things that I love, and it took me a while to realize this, is that, look, it's not all perfect. This is our story. And you can learn so much. Sometimes, honestly, you feel like you're watching a soap opera. You read this and you can learn from the story without of the blemishes. It's something to learn from, as you said. Okay.
Learning and burning.
Learning. Okay, well, I want to thank everybody. We're a little bit over time. Thank you very much for joining and wishing everybody a Shabbat Shalom. And thank you